Welcome to the Priority Lane podcast, the show where we learn how to work smarter, not faster. I'm your host, Nigel Knapp, and today I'm joined by Kirra Sharrock from Bravium, an advisor who took a refreshingly non-traditional path into financial advice. After studying radiation therapy, Kirra transitioned into the advice world through admin, client services, and paraplanning, building a deep client-first foundation. She's also passionate about giving back through PFAN and help shape the profession via FAAA's emerging professional community. Welcome to the podcast, Kirra.
Thanks for having me, Nigel. It's great to be here.
Fantastic. And how are you today?
Doing very well, thank you.
You're in Canberra. A busy week?
Canberra, yeah.
Oh, well, it's all happening in Canberra this week, isn't it, with the budget?
Certainly is. I went to a budget-related dinner last night at Parliament House, which is always a good event. I've been to that the last few years.
Okay. And what does that entail? Do you get food, drink, the whole lot, or is it not as exciting as all of that?
No, food and drinks are involved, but the more exciting part is getting to hear directly from some politicians and people who've been involved in putting together the policy, and hearing directly from them. And they also run a panel session discussing the budget partially through a gendered lens. So the event is run by Future Women, Helen McCabe and Jamila Rizvi run those events. And looking at the budget and what it means for the broader community, but for women specifically.
Okay. So a good night had by all, I hope?
Definitely.
Very good. Well, I'm glad that you're in a state to join us this afternoon. Wasn't that big of a night, which is good.
No, at home in bed by 10.
Okay. Now, back to your background. So you didn't take the most direct path into financial advice. Can you walk us through your journey of becoming an advisor?
Yeah. So I guess going back to the fact that I studied radiation therapy, in high school, I knew I really enjoyed maths and science, and I knew that I wanted some kind of job and career pathway that involved helping people.
Right.
That's something that's always been important to me. It's a personal value. But once I had done that job for a few years, I realized it wasn't where I wanted to be long term and that I needed to make a change. I was fortunate enough when I started job hunting to meet with a recruiter that put the idea of a financial advice admin role in front of me. And he said to me, based on what we've talked about your skill set and talking to different people at a bunch of different levels. So, nursing staff, the oncologists, other doctors, the radiology department to follow up test results and that sort of thing. That sounded like there was actually a good amount of transferable skills to what a financial advice admin assistant would have done at that point in time. Lots of following up product providers, talking to clients, talking to the paraplanners, helping get everything in order to be able to deliver the plan, which was part of what radiation therapy, people have to work together to deliver that treatment plan for a person.
Wow, okay, that's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't have thought, radiation therapy, financial advisor, it's a natural fit. But
I wouldn't have either, and it's certainly not a natural fit. When the recruiter said it to me, it sounded like a really big stretch. But, I went in, I had the interview, and that particular business was happy to have me, and it all started from there.
Well, I guess both of them as well are very important and very crucial areas for the individual, isn't it? You don't want to get your medical side wrong, and you don't want to get your financial side wrong.
Absolutely. That's definitely another element where there's a bit of overlap. Um,
Yeah.
helping people with their physical health, getting through a really difficult situation in terms of a cancer diagnosis in radiation therapy. And in advice, people often are seeking clarity and confidence. They are looking for advice because they don't know what to do next often,
Hmm.
or what they could be doing better.
Right.
So they come with questions. Sometimes it's simply that, what can I do better? Other times there's a specific circumstance that occurs that prompts people to seek advice, some sort of significant change in their situation.
Right. Okay. Okay. So you had, well, I'm guessing, about 3 or 4 years of study on the radiation therapy side, and then working in the industry. So how many
Yeah,
years did you? How?
at the time that I studied it was a 3-year degree. It is a
Right.
4-year degree now, but it
Okay.
was 3 when I did it.
Hmm.
And then it was just over 3 years actually doing the job.
Wow. So you'd invested 6 years
I
into the
had.
industry. How difficult was that decision to think, hey, I've come a fair way down this path. I'm going to
Yeah,
change track.
look, it was a really difficult decision. It was something I thought about long and hard before I made the call, but I did feel pretty strongly that it wasn't where I wanted to be long term, that
Mm.
doing that job, um, you're when you're implementing the radiation therapy treatment, you're on your feet all day.
Mhm.
And it's a lot of tough, emotionally tolling conversations with
Yeah.
people. And I had a situation where I'd experienced my own health challenge, and um, came out of that just fine. But at the time, it was too hard for me being around really sick people at a really challenging time. And I needed to find something new. I needed to take a break and step back from that.
Right. Okay. Okay. So the decision was made. You moved across to the finance industry and followed the common path, starting in admin, then client services, para planning. That, as I said, a common path. Do you think that's the best path to become an advisor, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do think it's important to have some level of grounding in the admin or the paraplanning side. I think having that background for me was important to build technical competence
Hmm.
and also my confidence to do
Right.
the role. Um, Obviously, I had no training or education in that space when I first started in that admin
Hmm.
role. But I think with the education pathways now, people are very well prepared in terms of their textbook learning and qualifications to do the job of being a financial advisor. But day to day, having conversations with clients and the soft skills that are involved in that, that's very different. And I think that's a difficult skill to teach through universities, through pure education pathways.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
And
I wouldn't say that everybody has to take the very long and slow road that I did. That's certainly not the recommendation. But I think for younger people considering advice as a career and who are undertaking a degree, I think it's important to get some face time in what working in an advice business actually looks like.
right. Okay. Because that you mentioned about the soft skills that are required. That's something that comes up quite a lot. Speaking
Yeah,
to financial advisors, is that it's not just, hey, here's a plan, let's go implement it. There is a lot of empathy involved. There is a lot of human behavior, a lot of human element, you could say, getting to know the client and that softer side as opposed to straight out figures.
absolutely. I my personal opinion, the best advisors have to be able to do both. Um, People can be a very strong advisor with a technical focus, but the technical side of things doesn't mean much if you can't get the client on board with
Yeah.
that. You can give the best advice and the best strategies, but if they don't take that advice and trust the advice to go ahead and then implement it, then all the value is lost.
And then I guess also as well, if that relationship isn't there with the advisor, they may not divulge all the necessary information you require to set out a plan.
Absolutely. Definitely agree with that as well. Something that's important to me as an advisor, and I often talk about in early meetings with clients, um, open and honest communication is really important. For me personally, I've had times in the past where I've made decisions that potentially weren't the right decision for me personally
Mhm.
because I had a fear of judgment and I let that hold me back.
Right.
I made decisions because I thought that was the easier path, or I would avoid people judging my choices. But you learn and you grow. And in my conversations with clients now, I talk about that because I don't want them to feel like they're going to get any judgment from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want them to be able to tell me all of the things that I need to know. Um, all cards on the table. We don't want any elephants in the room. If they have questions or concerns, no question is too silly.
Right.
Bring it up. Let's talk about it. Because if I don't know about it, I can't help.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, now that you speak about it, are very similar to the medical industry.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to disclose all of the symptoms, or you can't get the right diagnosis.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Now, we were talking the other day, and you mentioned that a previous business you were with were very product-centric. They were very much, they pushed a lot of products and had sales training. Bravium is different to that. Do you see that there's a shift in the industry away from the product-based and more into the strategic planning and implementation?
Absolutely. I think I'm really proud to be part of a business, part of here at Bravium. Scott Farmer founded Bravium with the idea of doing things differently way back in 2007. Um, Quite a number of years pre Royal Commission, when
Hmm.
all of the concerns came out around vertical integration and businesses that were, the advisors had an approved product list that they needed to work from that was quite narrow in terms of recommending a lot of products aligned with the broader institution that they were employed via.
Yeah.
Um, I think advice has come a long way since then, since 2014 and the Royal Commission. And there are more and more businesses that are doing things in the way that we do it here at Bravium.
Right.
It's fee for service. It's not about particular products. Products are a part of advice, that they are necessary tools that we use to implement strategies, but they are not the reason or the primary value of advice. The primary value to me is having that trusted relationship with an advisor where you can pick up the phone or send an email to ask a question and know that you're getting an answer, or even just able to bounce ideas with somebody who knows you and the things that are important to you in your life.
Yep. So client first, obviously, and then
Absolutely.
products if need be.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay.
And a lot of people might refer to that as values-based advice.
Hmm. Yeah. 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 Now, also mentioned you're involved with the FAAA. You were on two committees, but you're on one at the moment.
That's right.
Now, how did you get involved with the FAAA?
So, Nigel, I was fortunate enough to be selected as a sponsored student while I was still studying my
Mm,
qualification
okay.
to attend the FAAA Congress. It was in Sydney back
Mhm.
in, I'm going to say 2022. Um, that was my first time attending a big conference like that in the financial advice space. Um, Such a great experience. Met so many amazing, passionate people working in and around advice, and learnt so much. Fantastic content in terms of the speakers and the presentations. And I just felt really inspired. And everybody who was part of that student group who were invited to attend Congress or applied to were invited to apply to be part of the Emerging Professionals Committee.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so
Okay.
that's where it started.
Yep.
And, was selected from a whole bunch of people that applied for that opportunity. Um, and being part of that committee was the starting point of me using my voice to advocate for what I think financial advice should look like, and how do we get more people into the profession?
Okay.
Because I don't know if you've seen the numbers, Nigel, but um, the education standards officially changed. That change came into effect in 2019. At that time, there were over 28,000 financial advisors in Australia. Now there are just over 15,000.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
We need more advisors. The Australian public need more advisors.
Well, yeah, yeah. So a couple of things. First of all, if we can go back to the Congress you went to,
Yeah.
you seem pretty impressed with that. A lot of inspiring people. How did that? Was that different? What you're feeling and what you experienced there? Did you have preconceived ideas of the finance industry, what it was going to be like, and how was that different to what you experienced at Congress?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, yeah, my first experience at Congress was I honestly didn't know what to expect at all.
Mhm.
I hadn't been to anything like that in financial advice related. So, yeah, I guess I didn't have many expectations going into it. But even if I'd had high expectations, I think that experience would have exceeded them. Um,
So, with you're talking about, was it as we discussed earlier? A lot of the soft skills are very important in the industry. Did you realize that before you got into the industry, or did you think it was more numbers and okay, a bit of one on one, but not to the extent as to what it is?
I think that a second option.
Right. Okay.
So absolutely. You know, Financial advice, I had no idea what it was before I started working in it. Um, n- you still have people ask, is that like being an accountant? What does a financial advisor actually do?
Mm.
As I'm sure you know, it's accounting. There is some tax planning that's involved in accounting, but accounting is more often looking back at what has happened and accounting for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas financial advice is we look at all the facts and figures and the numbers, we take into account what are our clients' personal values and what are their goals and hopes and dreams, how do we make those two things work together? How do we
Yeah.
translate what they want to get out of life and the things that they value into a plan that makes the most of the financial circumstances that they have to build towards that future?
Okay. Okay. So you mentioned there you get asked, what does a financial advisor actually do? Is that part of what the emerging professionals committee is dealing with, about educating the public about what financial advice is all about to try to encourage more people into the industry?
Definitely. So when I was part of the Emerging Professionals Committee,
Mhm.
we mentioned two committees.
Yep.
Emerging Professionals was first, and
Hmm.
then the FAAA Gen Next committee was second, and I'm still part of that
You're
particular
part of the
committee
Gen
today.
Next. Okay.
When I was part of Emerging Professionals, we did a short YouTube video series that we called Fireside Chats, which was about talking to people who work in and around advice about what their job is day to day,
Hmm.
and not just financial advisors, but if you study financial advice, if you do a degree in that area, and then for some reason you decide that being a client facing advisor is not necessarily for you, what else can you do? There are so many options in and around advice, and helping educate people around all of those things, not just what does a financial advisor do, but what other types of roles are available.
Right. Okay. So,
Because we also, there's a lot of people who choose to be a paraplanner through their career.
yeah.
We need really good long-term career paraplanners to support the advice strategies, and people who want to have that focus on the technical side of advice, but not necessarily have the client conversations.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I've been told that a number of times. Financial advisors really only as good as the paraplanner that they're working with.
Absolutely.
A great team. Now, with also moving away from FAAA, you're also involved with the Pro Bono Financial Advice Network, which to tell the truth, I hadn't heard about until I was chatting to you. Can you or give us a quick overview of what
Yeah.
it does?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Pro Bono Financial Advice Network, I before I became involved, I guess I hadn't heard of them prior to that either.
Hmm.
But for me, how I learnt about them was a LinkedIn post
Hmm.
from Nicola Beswick, who runs. She's the chair of the Pro Bono Financial Advice Network. The goal of that network is to try and help more people, usually following a significant medical diagnosis, people who really would get huge value out of financial advice, but there are financial criteria that need to be met
Hmm.
where they could not otherwise afford to
Right.
seek out the services of a financial advisor.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was reading about them. It's an incredible organisation. How long have you been involved with them?
So after I saw Nicola's LinkedIn post
Mhm.
way back in 2021, while I was still studying
Yes,
and
you were still studying at that
completing my
stage.
qualifications, yeah,
Mm.
I saw her post, and finding ways to give back it's just built in. It's something that's really important to me. It's a personal value. And when I heard about the Pro Bono Financial Advice Network and what they do, I reached out to Nicola. I sent her a message on LinkedIn and I said, look, I'm not qualified yet, but is there another way that I can help? do you need paraplanning services? Because I could do that. I'm not doing a paraplanning role right now, but I've had years of experience in that.
Mm-hmm.
How can I help? How can I get involved in this? The way that PFAN works is the individual advisors who volunteer their time. They're effectively also volunteering the services of the business that they work for.
Right.
And any paraplanning that needs to be done is done generally in-house by that advisor's
By the
existing
business.
team.
Right.
And Nicola explained that to me and said, but look, we would love to have you. Once you're qualified, let me know. It'd be really great if we can keep in touch. And yeah, look forward to having you as part of the network down the track. And that's what happened. Very soon
Great.
after I was officially qualified and completed my professional year, my
Okay.
name was added to that list.
Great. That's so. So your employer also has to approve this as well?
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And they were obviously on board with this?
Very supportive of it.
Okay, great.
They know how important it is to me. But in addition to that, it's something that they're very happy to support as, a volunteering or, I guess, charitable kind of endeavor for the business as well.
Yeah, and I mean, going to a great cause as well, helping people out in probably some of their most toughest times of their lives. So great initiative. So
Absolutely.
what's one thing that you've learned, or could be more than one, through your work with PFAN that you've transferred across to your normal pay client work?
Yeah, really good question. I would say so the people that I've worked with through the Pro Bono Financial Advice Network have been people who had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Mhm.
So a big thing that I have learned is how challenging it is for them to come to terms with their own diagnosis, but second, navigate the systems that are designed to support people, but learning where the gaps are, I
Oh,
suppose. Because in both of those cases, those people who I've helped were not eligible to a Centrelink disability support pension because their condition had not progressed far enough yet for them to be eligible for that. Likely would be the case in future. But I suppose I didn't have an understanding of the detail in terms of medical information and diagnosis data that is required as part of a disability support pension application.
right. Okay. And I guess your previous career probably held you in good stead to have a lot of these conversations with people as well.
I would say so, yes. Part of, when you radiation therapy, you are helping people implementing treatment for cancer. That's the primary thing. Part of the degree is around um, having that, the importance of, I guess, good psychosocial supports and people having that network of support of friends and family around them, and helping to point them in the right direction for appropriate services so that they can get that support if
Yeah.
they don't already have a strong network. Or sometimes even if they do, honestly. The Cancer Council is one that it provides a really good service. So having that kind of knowledge and um, background, I suppose, and being able to apply when people are going through these challenging circumstances, they are not going to be able to process information properly.
Yeah.
We all have a certain level of mental bandwidth, and if your brain is too busy processing or can't process a challenging thing that you've been told about yourself and your circumstances, then we have limited capacity to then understand the other stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of it is about taking the time, giving people the space to talk through things and process in their own time, and being there to have the conversations when they're ready to have them.
Right. Okay. Again, the soft skills coming through again.
Absolutely.
So you've been in the industry for a few years now. Had a
Just a
good look around. Yeah. Yeah. What's something do you think in the industry that's going on today that we'll look back on in, say, 10, 20, 30 years' time and think, don't know if we've got that right or we could have done this better?
Ugh, that is such a great question, Nigel. And the main thing that comes to mind for me right now is CSLR,
Mhm.
the compensation scheme of last resort,
Right.
which is something the government put in place. It exists for a very good reason, to help people have some sort of recourse and ability to get some money back when things go drastically wrong if they've received poor advice. It's a very well intentioned scheme, but it's financial advisors who are bearing the brunt of the majority of the cost of
Oh,
that scheme.
okay.
There's a specific levy, the CSLR levy, that every financial advice business, every financial advisor has to pay to help support this government scheme.
Oh, okay. So government scheme, but funded by the advisors.
Partially,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
the levies support the scheme. At the end of the day, though, what that means is that the current financial advice clients of these businesses are the people who are paying the levy, because businesses need to remain profitable
Yep.
and they need to pass on those costs. There's plenty of evidence that has shown how much financial advice fees have increased in the past few years as a result of the CSLR levy. Or other factors as well,
Yeah.
inflation being one of them, but
Yeah.
it's been a contributor. And the scheme exists for a reason. I'm not suggesting that there shouldn't be some sort of compensation scheme available, but how that scheme is funded needs to be rethought.
Okay. So would it be, I'm guessing, unless it's like product related, if it's advice, is it a bit of a quagmire to say, well, no, this advice is sort of okay and it doesn't fall under this scheme, and when this one, no, that's no good. Where do they draw that line? How is that governed?
ASIC makes those assessments,
Right. Okay.
or the Financial Complaints Authority. So, people have to make a complaint and then their advice is assessed as to the circumstances of it and whether that advice was appropriate or not, and whether people are entitled to any compensation via the scheme. The tricky part is that the levies that we financial advisors are paying at the moment are funding things that were as a result of a small number of specific businesses. And there has been ability for businesses to shut down. That business no longer exists, restart elsewhere, It has been referred to as phoenixing.
Yeah.
And that new business entity, because technically it's unrelated to the old one, there is no ability for the clients of that first business to seek compensation from the new
Right.
version.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
CSLR has had to fund a lot of compensation for clients of those businesses.
Mm. Okay. So basically, putting the cost of that onto advisors that are just trying to do the best they can, essentially funding the
Exactly
road.
right.
Mm.
Exactly right. And those advisors to keep running sustainable businesses need to increase the costs that they charge their clients as a result.
Yeah. Yeah. And then with the supply and demand that you sort of referred to earlier about the almost a 50% drop in advisor numbers, yeah, it's restricting advice to a lot of Australians.
Absolutely. And
Mm.
because of the reduced number of advisors, that means the levy, the way that the government works out the total that is required across the pool of financial advisors for financial advisors to contribute to that scheme. Less advisors
Mm.
means a higher amount of that levy per advisor.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, that, geez, well, that definitely needs to be fixed up. Uh, let's move to something a bit more positive.
Yes, yeah.
um, okay. So, what's something in the industry that when you started out, um, you, you had these ideas about the industry, but now have really solidified and go, yeah, okay, I was pretty happy with the industry. Now I'm a big advocate for it. What's something that's really grown on you that you love about the industry?
Gosh, you've got so many good questions.
I do my best.
Um, what's something that's really grown on me? Um, I guess going back to that wanting advice to not be about a product
Hmm.
focus. Something that has grown on me is the idea of investment bonds.
Okay.
When I was studying that, and in the past, working in businesses where it was a much higher proportion of retired clients. So we were
Hmm.
dealing with a lot of superannuation pensions, and sometimes SMSFs or family trusts. In those businesses, I didn't see a lot of investment bonds in practice, and I didn't understand the value of them. Now I work in a different business where we work with families, a lot of people who are wanting to set up their children for long term financial success and potentially fund private school fees and that sort of thing. And investment bonds, I can really see the value of those as a structure for those specific purposes.
Okay. Okay. Great. And what's something outside of so we've had a chat about obviously your previous career. Uh, outside of that, what's something outside of work that actually makes you a better advisor, or you believe makes you a better advisor?
Yeah, look, I just that that aspect of giving back, just in
Hmm.
general, is something that's really important to me. And a lot of people that meet me wouldn't realize it, but I'm actually very introverted.
Okay.
Um, Speaking with groups of people or presenting at Congress, which I did a couple of years ago, is so far out of my comfort zone. It's not funny. Um, but when I care enough about something, I feel like it's important to put myself out there, and also it's an opportunity for learning and growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say, as an introvert, it's important for me to be really clear about where I want to spend my energy,
Right.
and I need to be intentional about those choices. opportunities to give back, whether that's in advice or volunteering at my kids' school. It takes energy, but it also gives me energy back, if that makes sense, because
Yeah.
it's something that's so strongly aligned with my values that, um, yeah, it's not just about helping people. There is a weirdly selfish element to it as well of, I just genuinely enjoy this. So it gives me something as well.
Well, I mean, every profession shouldn't it? Really, if you're not enjoying it, if it's not helping you grow as a person and giving you what you need, you're probably in the wrong career. So,
Yep, that is very true.
yeah, yeah, and no, I wouldn't have picked you for an introvert. And coming onto a podcast, is that something that you're comfortable with, or was it a
No,
no?
no. Definitely out of my comfort zone.
Oh, really?
The idea of having zero control over who hears all of these things I've just been speaking about freaks me out. But I also think there's value in it.
Yeah.
If anybody hears any of what I've had to say about the Pro Bono Financial Advice Network, or how desperate our profession is for more advisors, and decides to do something or make a change about that, then that's time well spent, in my opinion.
Fantastic. Well said. And just to follow up on that, since chatting with you, you've put me in contact with Nicola from the Pro Bono Financial Advice Network, and she'll be our guest next week to go into detail a bit more about the organisation and what great work it's doing. So
Wonderful.
thank you for the introduction, and for, yeah, we'll get more people to know about it. Um,
Excellent.
now, yeah,
That's very good news.
yeah, yeah. No, she's we had a chat. She seems like a lovely person, so looking forward to that one. Um, and yeah, I just want to make the comment that if you're out of your comfort zone at the moment doing this, wow, you must really be on fire when you're in your comfort zone. I mean, because you're doing an incredible job at the moment. Uh,
Thank
Now,
you. That's very kind.
not at all. You wear a lot of hats. Okay, so not just in your professional life. Well, in your professional life, what you've got, obviously your main job, you're on the FAAA committee. You also do PFAN, and then you've obviously, well, we've just learned you volunteer at the school as well. How do you prioritize to ensure that you're always moving in the right direction?
Yeah. Um, it's, I guess, like I touched on before, it's about making decisions that are aligned with my own values.
Okay, so
If I want to move in the right direction, I need to check in with myself and go, is this a valuable use of my time? Is this something that I get joy out of doing in some way, shape, or form? Is this going to benefit my personal and professional growth? Or is it going to benefit my family in some way?
hmm, well,
And if I can't tick any of those boxes, then that might be a good reason to take it off the to-do list.
okay, okay. Well, that makes sense, and also I feel honoured that I've ticked one of those boxes along the line somewhere. So yes, thank you. Um, now,
Pushing myself out of my comfort zone, Nigel.
out of the comfort zone, and I've ticked a box somewhere. It's yes, feeling good about myself. So thank you. And look, what you were saying there, basically, from what you were saying, sort of sums up what you do, what the financial advice industry is all about. You know, people making daily decisions, what's good for them, heading in the right direction on the finance side of things. So you look
Absolutely.
after that part of their life for them.
Yep. I stumbled into this career, didn't know what it was, didn't know what I was getting into the first day I walked in the door of that uh, small business in Deakin, a suburb here in Canberra. But it turned out to be the perfect fit for
Well,
me.
it sounds like it. And I tell you what, your clients should be very proud to have you as their advisor. Um,
Thank you.
Now, just to finish up with, every superhero has an origin story. Okay, so story explains what they do and why they are who they are. what's the moment that made you decide giving back, which, as we've heard all the way through the podcast, giving back is central to what you do. Um, what, what made you decide that that had to be part of your career? So not just I'd like to give back, but no, it's essential that I give back.
I don't think there was any single moment that I could pin down for that. I think it's inherently part of who I am. But I would say that my mum is a big inspiration for
Hmm.
me on that. She, when I was a kid, worked tirelessly, volunteered her time for anything that she could get involved in around um, sport that my sisters and I were involved in. She ran the school canteen at the primary school that I went to for 8 years. And the first few years of that were in a pure volunteer capacity. So she would turn up there every single day. And
Every day. Wow.
yep, every morning she would turn up to the canteen. They would have a roster of volunteer staff and different people that would be rostered on each day.
Hmm.
But my mum was there to open every single morning. And, we would go to school and we would sit in the canteen on the floor doing whatever until it was time to actually start the school day.
Right.
Because she had to be there early to get everything organised and prepped for the lunches that were going to be made for that day. And I guess that, I don't know, I obviously take after her. That was an inspiration to me, and also just I grew up with it, so it's always been there for me.
Well, that's great. Look, Kirra, our time's up, I'm afraid. It's been fantastic having you on the podcast. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Nigel.
No problems at all. So, look, it's been a pleasure having you on. And I look forward to speaking with Nicholas. So thank you very much for the introduction, and we'll continue the discussion about the Pro Bono Financial Advice Network on the next episode. So thank
No
you very much for
worries.
coming on board.
I look forward to listening to it.
Yes. It'll be available. Look, it'll be available within 24 hours, I'd say. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time on the podcast.
Thanks, Nigel.
This episode is sponsored by My Brokers app, a white label app built specifically for financial advisors and wealth management professionals. If you want to know how you can have your own app exclusively for your business and your clients up and running by this time next week, visit mybrokers.app or download the free My Brokers demo app from your favorite app store.